Hi everyone, and thank you for purchasing the Professional Annual Bookkeeping template. In this video, I will walk you through exactly how to set up and use the template step by step. This template is designed to give you a complete financial system. It helps you stay organized, track your income and expenses, monitor cash flow, and ensure your records are always aligned with your bank statements through built-in reconciliations. This video is a detailed walkthrough, and I also recommend reviewing the instructions in the Read Me tab, which includes additional guidance. Before we begin, a quick note on protections. In Excel, this template uses protected cells to prevent formulas from being overwritten. You can unprotect them if needed, but I strongly recommend keeping protections on. In Google Sheets, you will see a warning if you attempt to edit a protected cell. If that happens, simply click Cancel or X. With that, let's get started and go into the Inputs tab. This is where your setup begins. First, you will input your company name and your currency. You can copy and paste your currency symbol directly into this input cell. Next is your start month and reporting year. This is a one-year template, so only 1 year can be inputted. Make sure to save a clean copy of the template from your download so you can start fresh each year. The start month is only applicable if your fiscal year differs from your calendar year, and in most cases this can be left to January. However, if you are beginning to use the template partway through the year, you can set the start month to the month you begin using the template. Lastly is the name for your profit and loss statement, and you can go ahead and select from the drop-down menu. This section here is your helper notes. You will see helper notes throughout the workbook. These provide guidance as you work through the template. If you prefer a cleaner view for printing or presentation purposes, you can always hide helper notes by inputting yes into this cell. You can turn them back on at any time by clearing the cell. In Google Sheets, you will see a checkbox instead. Now let's go ahead to the account setup. Here you can input up to 10 accounts. This includes any accounts that you want to track cash flow for, such as bank accounts, credit cards, savings accounts, loans, or even PayPal. You can go ahead and input the account name alongside the opening balance. For example, if your start date for this template was January 2026, as we have inputted in this section above, then your opening balances should reflect January 1st, 2026. All bank accounts or assets should be entered as positive values, while loans or credit cards should be entered as negative values. To the right, we have our simple budgeting section. This is a monthly net income target number. You can input your target net income for each month from January through December. For example, I have inputted $5,000 per month. This is a high-level tracker. If you're looking for more detailed budgeting, then I recommend our annual comprehensive financial tracker. Next is our chart of accounts setup. In sections 1.4 and 1.5, you will input your information to set up your chart of accounts. This is one of the most powerful features of the template, and it works very similar to a professional accounting software. In section 1.4, you define your main categories. You have up to 10 income categories and 10 expense categories. These should remain broad and high level. Below in section 1.5, you can define your subcategories with up to a total of 50. Subcategories provide the detail and roll up into the main categories. Each main category must have at least one subcategory assigned. So let's go ahead and walk through an example. In section 1.4, we have already put product sales as the main income category. I can go ahead and put any other income category here, so we can put service income. Anything that you input in section 1.4 will then be populated in the drop-down menu in section 1.5. So I will go ahead and select it, and you will see both product sales and service income have populated. I will click product sales, and you'll see a warning has appeared. This warning is prompting me to enter a subcategory, otherwise the dashboards will not work accurately. So I will go ahead and input product D sales. Once I click enter, you'll see that warning has disappeared. All 4 of these subcategories will roll up into product sales in your profit and loss and your dashboards, which I will demonstrate shortly. Some important rules. If you do not need detailed subcategories, you can repeat the category name as your subcategory. So here, for example, I can go ahead and select service income. If I don't have multiple subcategories, I can just define this as service income. Category and subcategory names should not be changed once transactions are entered. There is an error check in the transaction log to help any accidental changes, which I will also demonstrate shortly. You can add new subcategories and categories at any time, even after starting the transaction log. And lastly, subcategory names must be unique. You'll see if I had inputted product C here, both cells will be highlighted, which indicates you must rename them. Once you do, that highlight will disappear. And that's it. You can repeat these steps for all of your expense categories. In this example, I have professional services as my main category and accounting fees and legal fees as my subcategories. Next, let's go into the chart of accounts. This is automatically generated from your Inputs tab. As you update categories and subcategories, they will appear here and remain organized. Use this as a clean reference for your structure. As indicated by the helper note in the top left corner, there are no inputs in this tab. Let's move into the transaction log. This is where you will input all of your transactions. You'll see I have already inputted an expense transaction here. There are 3 fields that are mandatory, which is date, transaction type, and amount. Column N on the far right will include your smart prompts that guide you on what fields are required based on the transaction type selected. Let's go into the first field, which is the date. You must enter a valid date. Say I inputted something incorrectly, a warning will appear and you must re-input the date. You'll see in transaction type, there are 7 different transactions. Income and expense, which affect your profit and loss. Deposits and withdrawals, which includes both owner's transactions and other movements that only affect your cash flow. And transfer, which moves funds between different accounts. So I will walk through a few examples. I will go ahead and select income. I will put $5,000 as my amount, and I can input the sales tax rate, which is optional. You'll see both of these grayed out cells will automatically populate and you do not need to make any changes here. Description is an optional field and is for your own record-keeping purposes. And you'll see my smart prompt has appeared. This indicates to me that I must select a to account and a category and subcategory. So let's go ahead to the to account and select the drop-down menu. You will see all of the accounts that I put in the Inputs tab have populated here. This represents the account which my income will be deposited into. So I'll go ahead and select checkings account. I must then also select a category. So you'll see both product sales and service income have populated. And I will click product sales, and subcategory, I will go ahead and select product D sales. Now before I click it, if you look to the far right in the top, you'll see it says 1 category issue found right over here. You must always ensure this error is cleared before proceeding to your profit and loss statements and your dashboards. This is your completeness check. Once I click product D sales, you'll see both the smart prompt and my summary of errors have disappeared. This indicates that my transaction is complete. Now let's go ahead and talk about one of the cash transactions. I will go ahead and select owner's withdrawal and input $2,500. I can input a description if needed, and you'll see my smart prompt has come up. This tells me for owner's withdrawals, I must only select a from account. This represents the account from where the cash is being withdrawn from. So I'll go ahead and say I withdrew $2,500 from my checkings account for an owner's transaction. You'll see that that error check or that smart prompt has disappeared, which again indicates that my transaction is complete. And now let's go through one more example, which is a transfer. I will input $1,000 and say I want to pay off my credit card. You'll see my smart prompt is telling me that both a from account and to account must be selected. So in this example, I will say I want to pay to my credit card from my checkings account. This tells me I'm paying $1,000 out of my checkings account and paying it off towards my credit card. You'll see that the error checks have also disappeared. Once you complete your transactions for the month, you can then move on to your profit and loss and your dashboards and your account reconciliation tabs to review your results. So let's go ahead and look at these examples in the profit and loss statement. The profit and loss is presented at the main category level and updates automatically by month. In our transaction log, we had inputted the income transaction type for a total of $5,000, and we already had about $1,000 from the expense transaction type. So you'll see both of those amounts have populated here. You'll note that the owner's withdrawal and the transfer did not populate here, since it does not affect the profit and loss statement and they are only cash transaction entries. This view is great for printing or presentation purposes to get a clear picture of your P&L for the entire year. Now let's go ahead and move into our monthly dashboard. This allows you to select any specific month and compare it to prior months. Let's go ahead and select January, and you'll see both the $5,000 income and $1,000 expense transaction has populated here. Since this is the first month, you'll see that the prior month comparison is not applicable. But when I go into February, you'll see that the January transactions have populated here. Going back into January, at the top you have your key metrics. You have your monthly savings progress tracker towards your monthly net income target. You have your summary of income and expense. And to the right, you have your top 5 income allocation and top 5 expense allocation charts. Down below are details at a subcategory level. Now I will switch over to a fully populated example to show you how it works. One key feature of this template is the monthly summary chart, which is right in the middle. This chart highlights your revenue and expenses for the selected month, while still displaying all other months for a comparison. The non-selected months are grayed out, making it easier to stay focused while maintaining context. So for example, we see May is highlighted here. If I go ahead and select March, you'll see that March is now highlighted while the other months are grayed out. Let's move on to the annual dashboard, which works very similar to the monthly dashboard with very similar charts, so I won't go through them in detail. However, the purpose of this tab is to show month-over-month comparison. Now let's go ahead and go back to the demo dashboard that we were working through, and I will show you how the account reconciliation feature works. This template includes a built-in reconciliation process that mirrors real accounting systems. Instead of relying on month-end dates, account reconciliation is based on your actual bank or credit card statement end dates. This ensures your records match your statements exactly. Every transaction in the transaction log must include a from or to account, which we previously saw. Once entered, all transactions automatically flow into this tab, along with your opening balances from the Inputs tab. At the end of each month, simply enter your statement end date and statement balance for each account. Even if your statement ends mid-month, this template will automatically pull all transactions within that exact period. So let's go through an example. I will go ahead and select January, as this is the month I want to reconcile all my statements for. I will then scroll to the far right, and you'll see the section for my month-end statement information. So I can go in my drop-down menu and select Checkings Account. I can then input the statement end date. So in this case, it's January 25th, 2026. So you'll notice it doesn't align with my month-end date of January 31st. I will go ahead and input the statement balance, which is $7,295. And this is the amount I'm getting exactly from my bank statement. You'll see that to the left, if I scroll back in the account reconciliation view, all the transactions have populated, and you'll see the date has populated to January 25th, 2026 to align with the statement end date. Since this is the first month of the template, it will pull transactions from January 1st, 2026. So now you see here the opening balance, all of your income and expense transactions, and all of your all of your cash transactions, including deposits, withdrawals, and transfers. The ending balance is automatically recalculated. If all transactions have been entered correctly in the transaction log, this status will show reconciled. You'll see here that my recalculated balance of $7,295 agrees to the statement balance date. Because it agrees exactly, it shows reconciled. Note that you can input as many different statements for the month as long as it's in the Inputs tab. So I will go ahead and select my savings account, and the date can be any date within the January period since that's what we're reconciling. So I will go ahead and input January 20th, 2026, and I inputted in valid date. So there is a valid date check here. And I will put $10,000. You'll see that because my recalculated balance is also $10,000, it is now showing as reconciled. Another feature is the tolerable range. You'll see here you have a tolerable range cell. If you do not want to investigate small differences, you can set a threshold. For example, you can enter $100, and any variance within that range will still show as reconciled. So for example, for my checkings account, if I put $7,350, you'll note that this status has not changed and it still remains reconciled because it's within the $100 range. But if I was to change this to $7,500, it will show as unreconciled, and that's because it exceeds my $100 tolerable range. And that's it for the account reconciliation view. Now if we scroll to the bottom, you do have another view, which is your current balance by account, which updates in real time based on your transaction log. These reflect balances as of today. On the left, you have two visual charts which show your inflows versus outflows and your current account balances in a pie chart. And at the top are your key summary metrics. Now let's go ahead and move to the Accounts Custom tab. Here you can input custom date ranges to view any transactions for whatever period. So here I will go ahead and input January 1st, 2026 and January 25th, 2026, which aligns with my checkings account statement end date. You'll see the same transactions will populate here as we saw in the previous tab, and the ending balance still recalculates to $7,295. In this view, there is no need to enter a statement end date or select a month from a drop-down menu. The rest of the tab, including the current view down below and the charts to the left, are the same as we saw in the reconciliation tab. So which tab works best for you? This depends on your preference. You can use the Accounts Reconciliation tab if you want a more formal reconciliation process, or you can use the Accounts Custom tab if you prefer more flexibility and don't want a formal account reconciliation to verify to your statement end dates. Whichever option you choose, you can always hide the other tab to keep your workflow clean and focused, or you can always go ahead and use both tabs. The Account Reconciliation tab for your formal reconciliation process, and Accounts Custom to learn transactions for various different periods that you are interested in viewing. Now let's go ahead and move into our last tab, which is our sales tax reporting. This tab is optional and only applies if you collect or pay sales tax. If you do not use sales tax, you can always hide this tab. Based on the rates you entered in your transaction log, this template will summarize the tax collected on your income transactions, the tax paid on your expense transactions, and your net tax position. This is helpful for when you're preparing your sales tax filings on a monthly, quarterly, or annual basis. And that concludes the walkthrough of the professional annual bookkeeping template. This template is detailed but straightforward once you set it up, and it provides a complete view of your financial performance and cash flow for the year. If you have any questions or need assistance, feel free to reach out. If you're interested in customization, you can always send me a message and we can discuss your needs. Thank you again for your purchase, and I hope this template helped you gain clarity and confidence in your finances.